Good evening, I'm Dan Wolf.
And I'm Laura Lee. Thanks for joining us. After years of back and forth with the Lester Park Golf Course, the Planning Commission hoped to take a step forward tonight by recommending to City Council to transfer the land over to DEDA.
However, the decision was tabled because there weren't enough commissioners there for a vote. Still, plenty of community members sounded off tonight. Northern News Now's Jeffrey McClure was at that meeting. Jeffrey, a whole lot of opinions on this matter.
That's right, Dan and Laura. As you mentioned, only 6 of the 9 Planning Commission members were in attendance tonight, and 7 is needed to move a vote forward. But one member proposed voting down the recommendation of transfer of land over to DEDA, and that they did vote on.
Look, this should actually be fun. I should be standing in front of you right now sharing ideas and responding to your vision of this 230 acres.
Jill Crawford Nichols was one of many Duluth residents in attendance Wednesday as the Planning Commission considered a resolution to recommend selling Lester Park Golf Course to DEDA.
What is before you this evening is backwards. Sale of this land should not happen before a vision is developed and agreed upon by the owners of the land, the people that fill this room tonight.
For many, including Ansel Schimpf, who worked on the Lester Park working group created last year by the mayor, he wants the land to remain a park like the city said in the 2020 master plan, with some parcels devoted to housing.
Selling the entire property for housing just seemed like a really irresponsible thing to do, especially given the difficulty it would be to develop that property.
These comments led Commissioner Brian Hammond to propose voting down the recommendation Wednesday night, which failed 4-2.
I think some really strong points were made about the mini master plan. This was promised, that this was a public process that would happen. It hasn't happened, right?
On the other side, Commissioner Chris Adet feels the land is costing the city thousands as it sits and says the move to sell is the perfect chance to fix a major problem in Duluth.
You know, it's nice. I walk my dog there. I appreciate that, but I think it's very and this won't be popular. I know that, but it's self-evident that we really need housing.
The resolution to recommend the land for sale to DEDA is tabled for next month.